enjoy the show.
I just need to aim it. And if something happens, come on, get me.
Well, good evening and welcome to the Pelican Rapids High School Band's 2025 Spring Concert. It's always a tough time of year because we have to say goodbye to our seniors, but at the same time we're excited about, the end of a great year and summertime and spring and all that. So anyway, First group is our 7th grade band. That first piece was a march, and our second piece is a piece that's in ABA form. So you can listen to the first part is kind of fast and spunky, and then there's a B section, which is lyrical and slow, and they're supposed to play really, really connected and smooth. And then the A section kind of comes back in a little bit varied form. So this is Oxford Point by Ed Huckabee. right, our next piece is a new one for us. Dark Ride, it's called, is intended to evoke the experience one might feel on a moonlit night, riding through a darkened forest. The shadows stretch out across the ground, the wind howls, and owls may be heard hooting in the distance. Suddenly, a twig snaps behind you. You race into the darkness, fleeing from whatever made the sound. So, this is Dark Ride by Randall Stanbridge. This next one is called Can Can by Jacques Offenbach. And it's kind of interesting. Jacques Offenbach was born in Germany in 1819 and died in Paris in 1880. He changed his name from Levy to Offenbach, changed his residence from Germany to France, and changed his clothing from the sober garb of a cantor's son to the elegant costume of a Parisian dandy. Both he and his writing style became more French than the French, and in so doing became the favorite composer of Napoleon III's Second Empire. This is an interesting tune. We started learning this before our last concert when we were learning about cut time and stuff, and just about every band plays the can-can, whether they perform it or not. But for some reason, these guys had the most difficult time learning this thing. And so we didn't quite have it ready for our first concert, which was fine. We had many other tunes. So we actually called it the Can't for a while. But they got it now, and you'll recognize this tune, the Can Can.
Thank you.
And now it's official, we can. Our next piece is called Wrath of the Mechanical Monsters. Now these guys played a piece with Miss Moan, was it last year, I think, right, as sixth graders, called Mechanical Monsters, and they love it. And it was a huge piece that, the kids love, directors love. It became a big hit as far as band world goes. But I'll read this to you here. This is what Randall Standage writes. A couple of years ago, I wrote a piece entitled Mechanical Monsters. It was my first stab at writing grade .5 literature, and I was very pleased with the results. The piece seemed to resonate with students and conductors alike, which tickled me to no end. The B-movie idea of robotic monstrosities roaming the landscape is very much to my personal tastes, and I'm so glad so many enjoyed it. And just like any B-movie, I thought, well, why not do a sequel? Took them a while to come up with a title, and eventually did. This satisfied the B-movie title I was looking for, while also suggesting that I incorporate the chant tune Dies Irae, the Day of Wrath, into the work. I also knew I needed to make it a bit more challenging rhythmically and harmonically, as it needed to be a logical continuation of the educational concepts of the first one, kind of intended for the same group of kids a year later. So here we are again, my friends. In the work, you will hear the sound of marching mechanical monstrosities as they make their way into the city to wreak havoc on the general populace and bring their own brand of musical destruction to the cityscape. Beware, my friends, for the day of reckoning is upon us. Run for your lives, they're here, they're here. This is Wrath of the Mechanical Monsters. And our concert band, made up of 8th and 9th graders, has been sounding so good. I really challenged them with some tough stuff for this concert, and they've stepped it up. Even though it's really a hard time of year to be doing that, because literally this is probably the first time we've been together as a band, really, in like probably a month and a half, just because kids are gone for sports. These guys have band 7th hour, so it's just, there's always something. So it's kind of nice to hear them all together again. It's pretty good. Our next piece is called Where the Blackhawk Soars. We had our first piece in ABA form. This is also in ABA form. There's a really fast, spunky section. Just love it, love it. It's really good. And then the middle section where the clarinets take over and the slow lyrical side, just like that other one. Beautiful melody and really good stuff here. This is Where the Blackhawk Soars by Robert W. Smith. Okay, Brian Baumage is a very big name in the band world these days. This is called To Dance Among the Stars, and this is what he writes about it. Joy, wonder, and the infinite backdrop of space and the stars. These thoughts are the focus of the music in To Dance Among the Stars. Beginning with a bold rhythmic fanfare that occurs throughout the work, the music seeks to capture what it would be like to be among the stars and dance without a care in the world. I envision someone surrounded by light, moving gracefully and energetically, engaging with star after star, almost as though they were partners. In simple terms, this is the expression of sheer, unadulterated joy. In the middle of the piece, the music becomes more ethereal and celestial. It reminds us to stop, take a break, step back, and appreciate the sheer beauty of the stars in the sky. Once we have had a chance to slow down and reset, we reemerge renewed to dance our hearts out among the stars one final time, which sounds like another ABA form. This is To Dance Among the Stars by Brian Baumage. It always sounds so much better when everyone's playing the same song. It's cool. The Addison Red Line is our next piece, and again, this is a really, really tough one, and it's a good one. The Addison Red Line is a train stop for the L in Chicago. Close to Wrigley Field, the home of the Chicago Cubs, the L brings thousands of people out to this historic location to enjoy America's favorite pastime. The energy and excitement of those passing by, going to restaurants, or meeting with friends is an incredibly unique and awesome experience. The Addison Red Line tries to convey that level of fun, passion, and general busyness of that area that attracts people from all over the world to come out and enjoy an afternoon or night out in Wrigleyville, one of Chicago's most popular neighborhoods. So last concert we talked a little bit about 4/4 beats being floor, wall, wall, ceiling, 3/4 being floor, wall, ceiling, and 2/4 being floor, ceiling. And this literally changes time signature every single measure. No two are the same, except for just a few in the very middle. But check this out, the Addison Red Line by Jeremy Bell. All right, just a few words about this next piece. I kind of forgot to put some stuff in the programs if anyone's following, but I know it's hard to read out there in the dark. But anyway, the second suite in F for military band is Gustav Holst's second of his 2 suites for concert band, and is a staple of the advanced high school and college band repertoire. Literally, everybody plays this thing. Gustav Holst is most famous for his orchestral suite, The Planets, which hugely inspired epic film scores like Star Wars, and is something everyone should listen to. Check it out on Spotify, The Planets. The second suite, written in 1911, is much different than The Planets and is based on English folk songs. It is divided into 4 movements, and again, I should have indicated that in the program. So I'll just kind of walk you through them. The first is a march based on Morris Dance, Swansea Town, and Cloudy Banks. The second movement, The Song Without Words, is a beautiful ballad based on a tune called I'll Love My Love. The third song is the Song of the Blacksmith, and you'll hear him working away on his anvil, forging a sword or something. And the fourth is Fantasia on the Dargazon, which brings green sleeves, or puts green sleeves on top of the Dargazon tune, one being in 3/4, the other being in 6/8. And the two seem to compete yet complement each other in a very complex manner for an exciting finale to this great and important work. Whenever a piece of music is performed containing multiple movements separated by silence, it's customary for audiences to hold their applause until after the final movement, so students, see if you can remember not to applaud or make any noise until the 4th movement is completed. This is the second suite in F by Gustav Holst. piece. Wow, lots of stuff in there. All right, after that, we need a little break, but we have to keep going. Before we play our next piece, I'd like to introduce you to some of the very best students I've ever gotten to know. This group of seniors is among the kindest and classiest groups of students I've ever gotten the privilege to work with. Each of them possesses the human qualities it takes to find success, happiness, and fulfillment in life, and although they're all very unique and special individuals, they all possess some common traits. Among those are kindness, compassion, humor, and pure class. You can clearly see some of these great qualities in each of them, even just in their presence and demeanor. And once you get to know them, you will find they are very incredible people with very incredible attitudes. So, I would like to introduce each of them and their future plans to you now. Seniors, please stand and remain standing when I introduce you. Audience, if you could hold your applause until the end, that would be best. And here they are, the Pelican Rapids High School Band class of 2025. Zayla Arrow, Minnesota State University Moorhead, Biology and Human Health Sciences. Zaylee Arrow, Bemidji State University, Early Childhood Family Education. Grace Backstrom, Valley City State University, Psychology. Jackson Dahlman, University of Minnesota Morris, Music. Ramses Ferrier Rubio, U.S. Army and North Dakota State University in Civil Engineering. Sarah Haugrud, North Dakota State University, Human Development and Family Science. Daisy Hall, University of Wisconsin-Stout in Animation and Digital Media. Austin Kleinschmidt, North Dakota State University in Business. Charlie Larson, University of South Dakota, Finance. Willem Pesch, University of Minnesota Morris, Computer Science. Anna Royston, Valley City State University in Business. Brody Severson, Concordia College Moorhead in Marketing and Business Analytics. Eli Valdevines, Minnesota State University Moorhead, Health and Exercise Science and Business. Lucas Verdorn in Real Estate. Mariah Wisher, North Dakota State University in Radiologic Sciences. Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for the incredible Pelican Rapids class of 2025. Excellent. We'll have some awards and stuff later, so you'll get to know them a little bit throughout. But anyway, you can sit now, guys. I'm just going to talk a little bit about our next piece. Our next piece is quite different from anything we've played so far. As I discussed at our last concert, there have been some very strange occurrences in this fine arts auditorium since they built it, with things turning off and on at random times. Remember during our concert, the lights just went out randomly? The sound of voices and whispers when no one is there, and a host of other things that have happened that could be considered very strange and extremely creepy. Some believe this place is haunted. So we thought, if there is a ghost, why not give him or her a little taste of their own medicine? We hope you enjoy Voodoo. So yeah, I promised some people that that would be unlike anything they've heard, and probably lived up to that. Hopefully that ghost got spooked. All right, let's do some awards here. The Director's Award for Band recognizes an individual who has participated in as many band activities as possible, sat first chair, demonstrated great attitude, dependability, and cooperation during all 8 years of elementary, junior, and senior high school band, and has achieved superior musicianship. The winner of the 2025 Director's Award for Band is truly one of a kind and has been a very distinctive band member throughout his career. He He's a great positive leader with a generally composed and calm personality and always seems to have a smile on his face and an upbeat attitude towards music in general. That is, when he's not mad. He is very passionate about music and has even written some of his own. He can also be the loudest pep band trombone player we have ever had. He will be attending the University of Minnesota Morris to study music, and we will really miss his awesome trombone playing next year. The winner of the 2025 Directors Award for Band is Jackson Dahlman. Come on up, Jackson. And the top award in band across the nation, the John Philip Sousa Award for Band. Since 1954, thousands of U.S. high schools have awarded the John Philip Sousa Award to honor a most deserving band student. The Sousa Award recognizes superior musicianship, dependability, loyalty, and cooperation. The qualities directors strive to develop in all students. The winner of the 2025 John Philip Sousa Award for Band is one of the strongest musicians we've ever had. She's incredibly passionate about life, yet enjoys peace, solitude, and the quiet comfort that a good book has to offer. In fact, she always seems to be reading a book, and that is a quality you rarely see anymore. She has a terrific sense of humor, knows when to buckle down and get serious, and has been one of the great leaders in the band program for the past 8 years. She will also emerge as a leader in college, where she will be attending Valley City State University on a French horn scholarship to study psychology. Her first name fits her about as well as anyone I know. The winner of the 2025 John Philip Sousa Award for Band is the always graceful Grace Backstrom. Come on up, Grace. Okay, well, this is it. Seniors, before we play our last piece of music together, I do want to thank you for being so amazing, and I truly mean that. We have spent so many hours, days, and years together, and it's very difficult to see you leave, although you're so ready to move on to bigger and better things. You are funny and genuine and kind and decent and respectful and passionate and mature. Your ability to never take yourself too seriously, to laugh at yourself if you screw something up, to learn from your mistakes while still doing amazing and serious things, turning work into something that is fun will take you so far in life. And our awesome trip to New York City. You guys represented Pelican Rapids and the entire state of Minnesota with an unmatched respect, dignity, and classiness. So much above and beyond what is considered normal high school behavior. Hopefully you can get back someday to New York, but if you don't, check out some of the great Broadway productions that come to the area, especially in Minneapolis. Maybe you can even still see Back to the Future. I know you can, it's coming. So, become an active supporter of the arts and keep playing your instrument either in college or as an adult. I thank you so much for accepting every challenge presented to you with strength, dignity, and a positive outlook on life. It has been an absolute delight spending so many hours with you doing so many fun and crazy things and creating and experiencing music and art of such a high caliber. I want to thank you for your awesome attitude, commitment, and amazing character. You are truly one of the nicest, most mature and classy groups of seniors I've ever spent time with, and I look forward to calling you all true friends forever. As you go through life, you will meet some incredible people who will inspire you to be better and to do better in life. We met quite a few on Broadway. You will also meet some people who are quite the opposite of incredible and will do everything they can to bring you down, hurt you, and make you feel and look horrible. I urge you to seek out the good people and stay away from the bad people. You must find a way deep down in your soul to not let the bad people get to you. If you let them hurt you, they win. It is not even an option. They cannot win. So find the good ones, which is where you belong. Steer clear of the bad ones, and never let the bad defeat the good. Go out there now, seniors, do whatever it is you want to do, make a difference in the world, enjoy life, keep playing your instrument, keep on finding humor in things, and please keep in touch. It has been so great, and I will miss you all tremendously. Our last piece of music together is a medley of New York songs called A Salute to New York City. And some other stuff.
For our last concert with Mr. Fitzsimmons, we seniors decided to put together a gift for you tonight.
This would be a lightsaber, all right? I don't want anything else. This is it. Okay.
Okay, the first item inside the present is a funny shirt that says, "If at first you don't succeed, try doing what your band director told you to do the first time." We thought that this shirt was perfect because for teaching here for 30 years, you really do know how to conduct a band. So we hope you enjoy wearing it around and showing off your amazing conducting skills. Our next gift is a mug, since you love your coffee. On the mug it says, "Shut up," which has a bird eye over a rest, which, if you know music terms, it means to be silent until the conductor says so. We thought that this mug would be hilarious and a great add-on to your mug collection.
Absolutely, that's what that means.
We also got you a keychain that says, "A truly great director is hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget." So whenever you see it, you can be reminded of your favorite seniors. And lastly, we got you a Star Wars lightsaber to conduct in case the lights go out again, like they did in the fall. Some of my favorite memories that I have throughout the 8 years of being taught by Mr. Fitz are actually during COVID times. I remember listening to the song Funky Town, and you started dancing to it. I remember having to put bath towels on the bells of our instruments to help us prevent getting each other sick. And most of all, I remember spending many hours with our small class size playing hide and seek and sardines in the auditorium. Fitz, we want to thank you for your dedication to this band and all the hard work you have provided. Without you, I know many of us wouldn't love playing band as much as we do. Thank you for believing in us to become the best band players we can be. Fitz, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for everything you've done for our senior class. You've been more than just a teacher. You've been a true mentor and have helped to shape us into the people that we are today. When we first joined band in 5th grade, most of us didn't even know how to make a sound. But your passion and excitement for music turned us into real musicians. You didn't just teach us to play our instruments, you taught us to work together and how to create something meaningful as a group. I've learned the band is a lot like life. It only works when everyone plays their part and supports one another. Under your guidance, we became more than just a group of students. We became a band family. Hold on. We'll always remember your sense of humor and the way your jokes never failed to make us laugh. We appreciate the support and love that you have always shown us. Thank you for shaping us, not just as musicians, but as capable young adults. We love you and appreciate you, Fitz. Thank you for everything.
Not to toot our own horns or anything, but we are one of the best bands in the area because of our wonderful director, Mr. Sean Fitzsimmons. There are so many great things to say about him, but tonight I'm going to share just a few. It has been a busy past couple of months, but we have had the pleasure of going to the state tournament with you, going to New York with you, and now we have the honor of experiencing our last concert with you. I know that it has been extra stressful to pull this concert together because of everything that has gone on, but you always manage to work with us and pull it together. Being able to share a love of music with you has been nothing short of amazing. We are so thankful that you have allowed us to share your passion with you. The brightness is down. You have taken us under your wing and taught us what you know. We will forever thank you for that. You have been with us since we were just 5th graders, barely knowing how to play hot cross buns. Now we are seniors who know how to play in the dark. We also want to thank you for all of the hard work that you have done that allowed us to go to New York this year. The entire trip was nothing short of amazing, and it is a memory that we will never forget. All of the effort that you put in and all the organization that you did is something that shouldn't go unnoticed. Every single thing, even the things that you did behind the scenes, we want to thank you for all of it. I'm confident when I say that we are not only known as the classiest band out there, but also the classiest state out there. We definitely left our mark on the city of New York. Now, I don't know if there was too big of an issue with losing kids in New York, but I know that there were a few moments that we didn't quite know where Fitz went. Sometimes he ended up going in the opposite direction of our tour guides, but we were never too worried about him because he knows that city like the back of his hand. New York is his second home. You are definitely the teacher that has left the biggest impact on me, and I feel so lucky to have been a student of yours for the past 8 years. This is going to be the hardest goodbye that I will have to make. It is especially hard because we have grown up with you. You have helped shape us into the young adults that we are now. We are so lucky to have had an amazing band director like you, but more importantly, a phenomenal role model. I promise that you leave a bigger impact on people more than you'll ever know. I picked out the keychain because I truly believe that you are hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. You have made a tremendous difference in all of our lives, and I want you to remember that. When I look and see you directing the band on graduation day, I'm going to get teary-eyed because my time with you is over. But I'm going to have a huge smile on my face, knowing that you will continue to leave your mark on everyone you interact with. Thank you for everything you have done over the last 8 years. We hope that you'll never forget the class of 2025. And we promise to not be strangers. We love you.
All right, well, I have a gift for all of you guys too. So it's this mug, and I'd like to get that today to you, and then I'd like to get a picture of all of us with that. So, yeah, aren't they great? I told you. So, let's do it. Our last song, a salute to New York City. Love you guys. Wow.